Hey y'all, welcome to an analysis of A Crack in the Slab, the 7th Dishonored 2 mission. In this mission, you explore Aramis Stilton's manor in order to understand the seance that occurred 3 years ago that brought Delilah Copperspoon, the game's main antagonist, back from the void. Every level in Dishonored 2 has a unique concept, like a gimmick, and this one's no different. Because of the seance, your powers don't work in the manor, but the Outsider instead gives you a time-traveling device called the Timepiece. The timepiece can be used to travel between the night of the seance and the present. Each of these is a little bit different. The night of the seance has a lively, bustling manor, where the present, the manor is abandoned and decrepit. This tool is used to get past obstacles in one timeline, avoid enemies, solve puzzles, and change the present. Towards the end of the level, the player can choose to change Aramis Stilton's fate, either by killing him or knocking him out, both of which will alter what happens in the present significantly. This changes what it looks like, and also the player can leave Aramis Stilton to his fate, which maintains the present. A Crack in the Slab is the 7th mission out of 9 in Dishonored, placing it solidly towards the end of the game. There's a really noticeable design decision here to set aside the powers and abilities that the player has been cultivating up to this point, and instead only letting them use the time travel ability. Because of this decision, wayfinding and navigability are at the forefront of player notice in this level. Although every level in this game is designed to be possible without powers, as there's the option to reject them at the beginning of the game, there's one that every player is going to experience, and those that have grown to rely on their powers to navigate through the game are going to feel really vulnerable in this one. As a result, there's a lot more clear hiding spots, ranging from these high cabinets seen on screen that are out of sight to these closets that are sealed from the view in the past. The level signals these with nooks in the wall that have no covers, or the covers have fallen on the floor, and as for the high cabinets, they are either standing in the present day and you can climb on top of them, then time travel, or they've fallen over, signaling that they are there. Many rooms also have high ledges that allow the player to sneak along the edges of the room. However, there's a big difference in this level's design, and that's going to be the control of room navigation. Traditionally, there's only a few locked rooms in a specific level in Dishonored, with many ways to circumvent them, not in the least a maintenance hatch above the doors, which is seen frequently throughout the game. Here, however, there's a lot of locks that require the master key, which is difficult to find and can only be found at the end of the level. Instead, these doors have to be traversed via the timepiece. Locked doors in the past can be circumvented through the present, where the doors are torn down. The level establishes a sense of safety quickly in the present timeline, where there are no initial enemies, therefore encouraging the player to use it as a safe haven. However, there's very little to explore in the present day. Most of the passageways are blocked off with junk, and there is nothing to read in the level, which is very noticeable, and very little loot to find. So the present may be a safe haven, but to progress the level and to get loot and unlockables, the player has to interact with the past world. As the level progresses, this paradigm changes since the players become comfortable with the timepiece mechanic. In the present, bloodfly nests and keepers begin showing up and obstructing progress. Now, there are ways to kill the bloodflies and keepers, which will make the present safer. However, there are no flammable bodies or flame darts nearby. Typically in other levels, these encounters with the bloodflies have tools to get rid of them, so their absence indicates that these are costly to remove, and if instead should be navigated around or avoided. This undermines the safety presented by the present, and it instead becomes another dangerous space like the past. Instead of the entirety of the present being refuge, now there are pockets in both timelines that provide refuge, and the player must hop between the two to find them. There are big hallways with lots of guards, in small rooms with at least one person in each of them, but every room has a safe spot where the player can switch times and be undetected. As the rooms have become more complex, a big question comes up. How do you keep track of which room and what timeline you're in? There's a lot of difference in color palettes in the timelines. All of the present timelines take place in the midday, and the original present is completely lit by natural light, very overgrown with lots of grays and browns. On the other hand, the past happens at night, and the lighting's very warm and not from the sun. The colors are vibrant greens and beiges with the presence of wood accents as well. The stark difference in lighting and temperature of the colors tells you instantly which timeline you're in, whether you're walking up to the building or even in a lot of the rooms seen here. Even in the two less important present timelines, they each have their own unique look as well. When you kill Stilton, the present becomes a mansion for sale, and although it is empty, it has been taken care of. It keeps the usage of natural light seen in the original present, but the dirtiness is not here. The other present, in which you knock Aramis Stilton unconscious, feels a lot like the past, with lots of people in it, and has been well maintained, but the decor and colorations are different. A lot of it's artificial light, but there are other colors present, like blue, and there are butterflies and other nature decorations all over. The layout of the building also has a very distinctive rooms and decorations to maintain a player's wayfinding. Every room has a very specific theme and feeling, with none repeated. Even across timelines, there's no dramatic change in the room's function, so its visual layout is still recognizable, even if it's slightly different. Each of the large areas in this map are especially distinct from one another, and although they aren't weenies, they each have a strong visual item. The Great Hall has a large, towering, dramatic double staircase. The pool is lush and has a pool, garden, that sort of thing, and the courtyard has very little in it other than a large balcony. Each of these has a significant difference between the past and the present as well. The Great Hall, the chandeliers have collapsed. The pool has been drained and there are bloodhounds in it, and the courtyard balcony can be collapsed in the past, which affects the present. These have strong gameplay differences, particularly when it comes to enemies, which also serves to distinguish them from one another. There's a few other things that I wanted to highlight that show the design care that went into this level that fit into some of these broader concepts. There's several puzzles that involve an obstruction existing in the present, and to solve it, you walk into the past, where that obstacle doesn't exist, and you walk through and then shift back. It probably sounded a little bit confusing, but let me show you one. There's a locked door here in the past, and it's blocked in the present, so we have to find another way around. There's this round mound of junk that you can see through right here, and there's a light on the inside that spills out. So a pretty big signal to the player that they're trying to get through here. If you go into the past, there's a desk here instead, which is a little weird, but there's a pouch dropped under the desk. And if you go under and get it, you're now in the exact spot to shift into the junk pile. So you'll go, oh, I need to get in the secret spot, and then you shift, and then there's the coin purse here, and then you pick up the coin purse, you're like, wait, I can shift in, and then you get across. And then right after that, in the room that you're in, there's a really cool puzzle. One of the reasons why I think they disabled your power in this level is for the player to really think about the stuff they've been doing and what they've learned. So there's this safe that's closed in the past, and it's open in the present, and it's got a bloodfly nest on it in the present. When you look at it first in the past, Emily goes, I wonder if it's open in the present, and you go and it is, but the door that would show you the code is covered with bloodfly gunk. So if you've been paying attention to the story or reading anything, you'll know that bloodflies create nests around corpses, which they eat. So you go into the past, and there's a dead wolfhound here, and an incinerator right next to it. It's kind of clear what you gotta do. So you incinerate the body, and then you go back into the present, and you can get the safe code. I think what really makes this fantastic is that there's a black bone charm inside, which you know is there because you can x-ray vision all of the bone charm collectibles. So there's a way for the designers to guide players to really cool puzzles like this one. There's another thing right at the start of the level where you walk in and there's a broken chandelier that comes from the ceiling of the second floor through a hole in the second floor and dangles on the first floor. Now in the present, it's crashed on the ground, so you very clearly notice it. But you can't use it as a climbing point until you go in the past, and then you can actually climb up it. I think this really stands out because you're safe in the present. So you can actually pause at the chandelier, look up, in a way that you might not want to do in the past because of the enemies. There are lots of other really good moments in the opener, like when you first find Aramis Stilton. He's shouting and banging on his piano, and you find this large grill gate thing that blocks Aramis Stilton in. And you don't get to see him, but you can see here there's this giant spotlight that casts his shadow onto the wall. So you see him there, and you know you got to get in there. And you walk over to this grill, and then you see rats scurrying under it to the other side. Now, if you had your powers, you could just possess one of the rats and go under the grill. Instead, though, because the powers have been disabled, you have to explore and find a way in. And you find a hole in the ceiling that lets you drop in. Now, once you're in here, there's a similar sort of thing where you look up, you see the hole that you fell through, and if you had your powers, you could just blink out. But instead, you're stuck in the rabbit hole. There's a lot of other really cool stuff in this level, but these are the things that really stuck out to me the most. I hope you enjoyed the video, and thanks for watching.